Most new preppers and survivalists make the same mistake. They think survival is about gear, the biggest torch, the most tactical looking backpack, another box from Amazon that sits in a cupboard. But when things actually go wrong, power cuts, storms, road shuts, getting lost in the hills, it's not the fancy kit that saves people, it's the boring skills they quietly built when no one was watching. In this video, I'm going to walk you through 8 survival skills you can start learning right now that are either free or very inexpensive, and make sure you stick around for skill number 8 because it's the one nearly everyone skips, and it's the one that can literally make the difference between life and death. If you're new here, my name's Charlie and this is Charlie Survival, realistic UK survival and preparedness, not fancy woodland ninja stuff, just honest conversations about blackouts, storms, water, food security and survival on this weird little island we call home. I know a lot of you watching feel overwhelmed with all the things you should buy and learn, so in this video I want to take the weight off a bit. We're going to focus on 8 low-cost skills that you can start this month, will still help you even if nothing bad happens, and will massively stack the odds in your favour if something does happen. Before we dive into number 1, 2 quick favours. If you want more UK specific survival content, not just generic American stuff, hit subscribe so you don't miss the rest of this series. And in the comments, let me know which of these 8 do you think is your weakest right now. I read through them and it also helps me know what videos to make next. Alright, let's start with the one that takes the longest to pay off, which is exactly why you should start it now. Skill 1, growing your own food, even if you only got a tiny space. Most Brits think gardening is something you do when you're retired and bored. From a survival perspective, it's one of the most powerful skills you can ever learn, and it's one of the cheapest. In any long-term crisis, food is king. Shelves empty quickly, delivery lorries stop, prices go insane. If you can turn sunlight, water and soil into calories, you have food for the family. A bit of psychological peace, knowing something is literally growing while the world's going mad. Now, I'm not saying you need 10 acres and a tractor. You can start for almost nothing with a few cheap bags of compost, some seeds or even seeds saved from shop bought veg, whatever containers you can get, buckets, cut off milk bottles, old pots. Start small with things like salad leaves on a windowsill, a couple of potato grow bags, herbs in a pot, a tomato plant in a sunny spot. The skill isn't perfect homestead, the skill is understanding soil, knowing how plants behave through the seasons, learning what actually grows well in your area. Every season you mess up a bit and you learn, and that's knowledge no one can take off you. Skill 2, practical fitness, not gym ego lifts. The second skill is one that a lot of survivalists and preppers quietly ignore. Your body. People imagine when disaster hits, they'll somehow rise to the occasion, even though they get out of breath walking up the stairs. The reality, if you're unfit, everything in a crisis is harder. Carrying water, walking in bad weather, clearing debris, helping someone, it all costs more energy. Some people don't make it past the first few days simply because their body gives up. You don't need to be a CrossFit athlete. You do want to be comfortable walking a few miles, able to carry a rucksack with some weight, strong enough to lift and move basic stuff around the house and garden. Here's ways to build this for free or cheap. Start going for regular walks, add a little distance or speed each week. Do simple bodyweight exercises at home, squats, press-ups against the wall, planks. Occasionally walk with a light backpack to get used to the feeling of carrying a bit of weight. Think of it as training to be useful. Ask yourself, if something happened on my street tomorrow, would I physically be able to help? That's the level we're aiming for. Skill 3, cooking real food from basic ingredients. You can have cupboards full of rice, pasta and tinned food, but if you don't actually know how to turn it into real meals your family will eat, you've got a problem. Cooking is a survival skill because in any crisis you want food that is cheap, shelf-stable, calorie-dense, and not so grim that everyone refuses to eat it. You don't need to be a chef, you do want to be able to make soups and stews from tinned veg, beans, lentils and stock. Cook rice and pasta without ruining it. Turn basic ingredients like oats, flour, oil and sugar into things like porridge, banana bread, simple flatbreads. Pick a few recipes that use cheap ingredients, use one pot, work on a hob or camping stove, then practice them now while things are calm. That way, if you ever lose power or money gets tighter, those crisis meals are already familiar and your body and brain associate them with normal life, not panic. If you want to get basic preps to support everything in this list, head over to the Charlie Survival Amazon kit list. You can find everything from water filters to home survival and even car survival. Click the Amazon link in the description after this video. Skill 4, organization and inventory, knowing what you actually have. This one doesn't sound sexy at all, but it's a massive force multiplier, being organized. Most people's preps look like this: a random torch somewhere in a drawer, batteries in a bag, half of them dead, tins of food shoved in behind the cereals, first aid bits scattered in 3 different cupboards. When something goes wrong, they lose minutes just hunting for stuff. Being organized is basically free, but it pays off every single time you need it. Here's some ideas. Pick a shelf or box and make it your blackout kit. Head torch, spare batteries, candles, lighter, power bank, radio. Have your first aid kit in one clearly labeled place, not scattered everywhere. Make a simple list in a notebook or spreadsheet of what long life food you've got. Best before dates, where your key bits of kit actually live. You don't need some fancy app, you just need to know if the lights went out right now. I know exactly where my torch is. A few hours of tidying and labeling costs nothing and turns you from panicked rummaging into someone who looks like they've rehearsed this. Skill 5, water collection and purification. The next skill is about the most boring everyday thing that becomes very serious very quickly when it stops. Water. In the UK, we're so used to clean tap water that we almost can't imagine it not being there. But if there was a major power cut, flooding that contaminates the supply, or just local pipe issues, you'd suddenly be in the same position as the people you see on the news, queuing for bottled water. The skill here has 2 parts: collecting water and making it safe to drink. Collecting can be as simple as knowing how your gutter and downpipes work, putting a barrel, bin or clean container under a downpipe when it rains. Having clean jugs and bottles, you can feel quickly if you get any warning the supply might stop. Purifying starts with understanding a few basics. Boiling water kills most pathogens if you do it properly. Simple gravity filters or portable filters like Sawyer, etc. can turn grim looking water into something drinkable. Even if you have tablets or filters, you still want to understand sediment versus clean water and basic hygiene. You don't need to become a water engineer, but if I dropped you at a random UK house in a storm, the skill is, could you find a way to catch some rain and make it drinkable without poisoning yourself? That's what you're aiming to be comfortable with. Skill 6, fire lighting and fire management. Use safely. Fire is one of those primal skills that looks cool on YouTube, but in reality it's about warmth, cooking, morale, and in the UK it's about not setting the countryside or your house on fire and respecting the law and local rules. You can start learning this for almost nothing. Get a cheap ferro rod and practice using it in the garden on safe tinder. Learn how different materials behave: cotton pads, birch bark, dry sticks versus damp ones. Practice building small controlled fires in a pit or on a safe surface where it's allowed. Focus on 2 things: getting a flame, matches, lighter, ferro rod, building and maintaining a small fire, airflow, fuel size, not smothering it. Even if you never wild camp, this is a skill that builds confidence. You go from fire is that magic thing that just appears when I turn the hob, to if I had to, I know I could make and manage a small safe fire to heat water or cook. Do it legally, do it safely, but do it now before you're shivering and desperate. Skill 7, navigation and situational awareness. Instead of going down the firearms route, which doesn't really make sense for most people in the UK, I think a much more valuable and realistic skill is navigation and awareness. Phones have made us lazy. The number of people who would be completely stuck if their phone died, GPS went down, or they had to detour because of flooding or a road closure is terrifying. Start building your real-world navigation skills. Get used to reading road signs and landmarks instead of just listening to what the sat-nav says. Buy a cheap OS map of your local area and learn what all the symbols mean. Practice planning a simple walking route and actually follow it with the map in your hands. Occasionally ask yourself, if my phone died right now, could I find my way home? Where's the nearest water source from here? If this road was blocked, what's my plan B? This ties into situational awareness too, noticing exits in a building, clocking where traffic is heavy, being aware of who's around you, especially at night. It costs nothing. But in a crisis, being the person who knows where things are and isn't lost in their own head is insanely valuable. Skill 8, first aid and basic medical knowledge. And that brings us to the final skill, the one most people quietly avoid because it's uncomfortable. First aid. You can get away with never growing a tomato, you can muddle through with bad navigation, but if someone is bleeding heavily, not breathing properly, unconscious after a fall, and there's no ambulance coming for a while, that is a now or never moment. The skill here isn't become a doctor, it's knowing how to call for help clearly, keeping yourself safe, doing the simple things that keep someone alive until a professional arrives. Things like putting someone in the recovery position, recognizing signs of shock, applying direct pressure to a wound, knowing when chest compressions might be needed. Here's how to start cheaply. Look up free first aid courses near you, St. John's Ambulance, British Red Cross, sometimes local community centres. There are also low-cost online courses that give you solid grounding. Get a decent basic first aid kit and actually learn what each item is for. Keep some printed or downloaded guides in case your phone isn't available. It's not fun to think about. But this is the one skill in the list that directly involves other people's lives, and if something bad ever happens in front of you, you will never regret the time you spent learning it. If this helped you, hit like and subscribe for more realistic UK survival and preparedness. And before you go, drop a comment and tell me which of these 8 skills is your weakest right now, and which one you actually are going to start this month. If you want some simple no-nonsense kit to support these skills, first aid, water filters, blackout gear, basic cooking setups, check out the Charlie Survival Amazon kit list. The link is in the description. Your next step is to learn about how to stop being cold outside or indoors. Click this video on screen now to learn all about it, and I'll see you over there.